Hi, I'm Wayne Tuttle, and welcome to Chasing Legends. Welcome back to Chasing Legends. I'm Wayne Tuttle, your host once again. Please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, go to our website, www.legendthesuperstitionmountains.com. You can pick up all kinds of good things. We got the bark notes, we got shirts, we got hats, we got coffee cups, and all the updated information and so forth if Trevor's doing his job. That being said and done, we'll get into this week, but before we do, the one piece of news coming up. If you watch this anything time after the next week, fast forward here. Otherwise, February 10th, we will be celebrating the 90th anniversary of the Dawn's first trek out at First Water Trailhead. So be there. We'll probably be there around 8:30. We'll probably get started 8:30 to 9. Everybody's welcome to join the Dawns as we basically take that first hike out to Garden Valley. We'll be stopping by the first trek site, First Water Ranch, and Garden Valley Indian Springs by while we're out there. So just kind of a nice little trip. It's nothing too strenuous. Take about an hour and a half or so, 2 hours to get out there back. It's nice, easy walk. We will call it off if it's raining heavy, but it looks like the rain's going to precede it by a couple days. So my plan is full steam ahead, and we'll be out there. Meet me and Trevor, Greg Davis, a number of other Dons and people. Try to even get Frank out there. We'll see what goes. He's never been out most of those spots, so we'll see if we can get him to go. All right, so now that you fast forward, you're up to date with me. Here we go. This is a story, again, I must have told it to people at campfires and here and there and aside. And maybe I did it in the lives early on, the first 100 lives I did. Maybe I told the story a bit. I went through to look, and I didn't find it anywhere. So if I did tell it, I apologize, but it seemed odd that I hadn't told it. And I thought, well, I've absolutely told it. And I thought a couple of places I would have told it, look for something that would trigger it. It was in Needle Canyon. It was probably in the mid 80s. And I just looked and I was like, wow, that's kind of an odd one. This is a time period where I think it was just kind of rough going. I wanted to get back out in the mountains. Someone had told me about a certain spot out in Needle Canyon. So I wanted to head out, and I'd occasionally try to find someone that'd want to go out in the mountains with me. And the person I took this time, I'm going to give you his name. It's the only time he ever made a trip out there. We hung around for a number of years and stuff. His name was Jeff Grigsby. And I told Jeff, hey, I'm going to go out and do this thing. Hey, you might enjoy coming along and all. He was interested. So we took off, went down to Peralta Trailhead, and got ready to go in. Had the stuff, had our little packs. We started heading in, went up Cardiac, seemed to be handling it fine. We went through, we started running down the trails, we got through Barks Canyon, everything's fine again. And then it just slowly started to deteriorate. Now, it was a nice day. I remember when we started in the morning, it was actually pretty cool. But the weather started to really turn, and there was no clouds. And it started feeling a little warmer, but it wasn't bad. We got just north of Weaver's Needle, and we were heading out in the area of Blacktop and Palomino, and it was somewhere between where I was and the spot I was looking for. And we got in that area, and then he just kind of like turned. And it was an odd turn. He was just, before he was kind of hanging with me or behind me and we were walking, and now he was just out in front of me, and he was just angry. And it was kind of a weird thing. Now, I didn't realize at that time what heat exhaustion or heat stroke and those types of things, how they would affect some people. And he was just kind of like melting down. And I was like, man, what's going on with you? And it started to get to the point where it was frustrating me, and I realized this isn't going good, man. This guy is losing his mind out here. He was cursing at everything. He was cursing and swearing at the rocks, at the dirt, at the breeze, at the wind, at the sun, at the mountains, at this, at that. And it was just nonstop. And I was like, it's a nice day. What are you doing? But it was a continuation of a deterioration. And I was just like, So I finally had enough. I know we were heading down kind of a slope. And I said, you know what? If we go down this, then we're going to have to come back up it. I think you're done. We need to turn around and head back. And he just kind of like didn't stop at first and was just had his back to me, was yelling. And I turned around and said, well, I'm heading back. I'm not going to go any further. This is not going well. And I turned around and there was a rattlesnake right in front of me. We just both stepped through there. There was no snake. I know it. And I turn and it's rattling and it's coiled up, and it must have come in as soon as we walked by. But because I stopped and paused when I was talking to him, but it was the weirdest thing, and it's about 2 feet in front of me. And I'm like, this is not good. And I'm yelling his name, Jeff, get back here. And he's like, what? And he starts walking up. And I said, look, there's a rattlesnake here. I need you to get a rock or a stick or something. You got to get the snake at least distracted, if nothing else, or move it out of my way, because I can't move. I'm not going to be able to move quick enough. He's coiled and he's totally focused on me. And then Jeff freaks out, starts like zipping around all over behind me. I can hear him, and I'm turning my head a little, and I'm like trying to watch the snake, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he was just bugging out, and I said, dude, you're not in harm's way. Well, you want me to get back? I'm not asking you to pick it up. Please, just go take a stick, toss a rock. I had to literally bend back and get a rock. It was like doing whatever you call that thing where you bend down and go into the pole. I had to bend all the way back, get a rock, and I got a couple rocks in my hand. And I got them, and I was like, okay, please let it just react to it, like what's going on. I had enough dirt in it, so I figure I'll just foul it up enough that it's going to be on high alert, but it's not going to strike anything. It's just going to be like, it'll be in a defensive measure to want to get away. So I tossed the first rock and some of the dirt, most of the dirt I had. And of course the snake just went crazy, but it doesn't know where to strike because it doesn't know where it came from, because it's like a bunch of different things falling on it. And the snake was just kind of like totally agitated. I think it's even worse. I'm like, Jeff, man, just freaking get something. Still carrying on behind me. He's angry. He's like, I can see him, hear him run this way, run that way. I can't tell what he's doing. I'm so worried he's going to run into me eventually. So I take the second rock and I just get it right in the head, just hard enough that it just knocks the snake kind of like, what the heck? And the snake slithers off into a creosote bush right there by the trail. So I'm like, phew. And then I'm turned around and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, you're going to get me killed? And I'm like, no, we're good. Snake's in the bush. So then he wants to kill the snake. And I said, no, the snake's fine. I said, the snake's off in the bush. He's not going to bother us anymore. Let's just start hoofing it out. So we started walking out, and as we're walking out, he's like, I don't know why you brought me here. You forced me. I'm like, I didn't force you. I asked you, and you said you wanted to go. Oh, I don't know if that's the truth. And for the next mile or so, it was just literally this constant whine, and then he'd start screaming and cursing and swearing and this and that. And I realized we didn't have much water. He'd already went through all his water. So I'm giving him some of my water here and there, and then he's mad at me because I'm not letting him drink more. And I'm like, look, we only got so much water. Once we get through Barks and we know we're getting up the last bit, heading back to Cardiac, I'll let you have it. So we get down. Now, one of the problems is when we left, and I said it was clear, it was really nice, but the temperature got up in the 80s that day. Very warm day. And if getting in the 80s, he was dehydrated. I got a feeling he was drinking the night before or something, because he dehydrated so hard. And there was no sun. One of the problems going in through Cardiac to Needle Canyon is it'll be nice and shady all the way through in there, but around noon in the afternoon, there's almost no shade most of the day. And we got to a point where we were just looking for anything that had some bushes to get some shade to get us out of the sun for a few minutes and relax. We never saw a single soul on the trail that entire day. So we're getting closer to getting back out, and he was sitting there, and it was just feeling miserable. Felt like we were baked. My temper was done, but I'm like, I got to get him out. At one point, I was literally half carrying him because he was acting like he couldn't even walk. I was like, my God, I've never been with someone that completely lost it like this. So we got to the last bit, right through Barks. We're getting ready to go back up the hill to go to Cardiac. And we sat down, and there's that nice area there. We found a nice shady tree, and we kind of sat there under it, not in Barks, but as we were starting to wind up that area right when you come out of Barks going out. And he sat down, and we talked, and I told him, look, here's the last of the water. Close your eyes. Let's just chill. Let the air kind of hit us a little, and we'll kind of breathe a little here. And he completely went from 190 miles an hour down to like 50. And it was just like, and he was like, I'm really sorry. I don't ever want to come back here. I'm sorry for all the stuff I said today. I apologize to every rock, piece of dirt, everything. And it became this totally opposite. Guy was completely, forgive me for everything I've said today. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, we'll be back soon. We'll be down to the car. Don't worry about it. We're all good. So we start working our way up. We get to the top. He sees the parking lot. He's, oh my God. And he's like thankful. He's like, I thank you. He's like, I made it through all this. And then he kept talking about, whatever happens in these mountains, I don't know what happened to me, and I lost my mind and all this. And he says, I'm so thankful that I'm being allowed to go home, and, I feel so much better. And I said, I don't know what it is. And, there was a nice breeze. It was just like 100. The temperature turned. And I'm not saying it was cloudy and it dropped 20 degrees, but it was so much nicer. And everything was just, it's like, okay, we're going to make it out. So we got down. He got to the car. He got some water. I said, hey, chill. Let's drink some room temperature water for a bit and kind of level down. And we got there and we started talking, and he's drinking. And it was his car. He had a Camaro. And we're sitting there by the Camaro. And I said, are you good to drive? And he says, I'm not letting anybody drive my car. Nobody's allowed to drive his car. And I'm like, okay, you can drive your car. But just so you know, make sure we're going to sit here till we're sure you're good. So we're sitting there in the shade, putting some water on us, cooling off. We're feeling good. And then he turned again and he said, you know what? These mountains, anything about them, I'm sorry I ever heard of these mountains. And then he just started going into this derogatory, just absolute meltdown. It was a rant about how much he hated the mountains, how much he hated me, it's just, and I'm just sitting there in the shade looking at him like, man, that turned fast. Guess now that we're back to the car, you feel so much better. And I was looking around thinking, do I need to find another ride? Because I have a feeling I'm not going to want to hear this all the way home. It might be, maybe get in town, say stop at Circle K, get out and call someone to come out and get me because I can't ride with him no more. And then within 5-10 minutes, he began to violently have dry heaves, vomiting, headaches. He couldn't see. He passed out twice. It was like literally, and I'm like, dude, man, so I got some more water out. It was pouring out. I'm trying to cool him down and all. And he just was curled up and just done. And I'm like, what happened here, man? And I said, is your stomach hurt? Was this? Do I need to get you to the hospital? He's like, no. And he held his keys out and said, just drive me home. And I'm like, you sure you want me to drive your car? And he's like, yeah. So he was so scared of throwing up in the car. I don't think he had anything to throw up still. We found this old Big Gulp cup, one of those big giant ones. I don't know what but I told him, use this and let me know, and we'll pull over and dump it whenever we need to, which I don't think we ever did. And got him in the car and drove him all the way home. Got to his house. I had to go up, tell his dad, hey, I got Jeff in the car. You need to come out and help me get him in. And I'm going to need a ride home. Got him to the door into his parents' house. He was sad shape. It was like he couldn't open his eyes. And I said, I don't know what happened. I said, I was thinking it was heat exhaustion, heat stroke, but he had water. And I said, I don't know. It's just there's something hitting his system. And I said, it's just weird. And it was almost like you would say someone who's bipolar, where he was pinging it. And they kind of thought it was a little funny. He wasn't sunburned or anything. It was just kind of like he was literally at that point like a wet rag, nothing to him. So I gave them the keys and said, you know what, don't worry about it. I'll walk home. I don't have that, a couple miles. I'll do it myself because I said just make sure he's okay. He did not get out of bed for 2 days. I guess literally slept for 48 hours. They bring him in, he gets something to drink and all, and they said he just slept. They said he was like a dead man for 2 days. We got done with that, and I went over, and we were sitting out front, and we always worked on cars and messed around with stuff, and we were sitting there. I remember having a cigarette with him and talking about it, and I said, well, I know one person I'm never going to ask to go back in the mountains with me again. And kid you not, because he seemed to be perfectly fine. We're sitting there talking, and he goes, I'll tell you what, man, those happen super bad. And he started doing that again, and then he had to run in the house and start throwing up again. He came out and he said, you know what, we're never going to speak of this again. Needless to say, Jeff never went into superstitious with me again. Was it him? Was it something detoxing in his body? I have no idea. It was kind of a funny story, but I really was seriously worried when we got out, the way he was ping-ponging from one extreme to the other, that there was something seriously, because the energy level when he was angry, he was just like, it was like a sheer adrenaline, like, what the hell's going on with this guy? And he would go there and then go back the other way. So that was the story of Needle Canyon, and I always want to say 84, but I have a feeling it could have been 86, maybe 87, because the pictures I have pictures of it, the trip, I took some pictures. But on the photographs it says 84, but I think the problem was, for a few years there, every picture was 1984, because somehow the date setting got stuck on the camera, and every picture I have for a while there is from 1984. So I think that was it. It could have been 84, but I think it was a little afterwards. So there you go, the trip to Needle Canyon. We're doing our own trip, and I promise not to really kill anybody, or nobody should get sick or have a problem. Plenty of people have survived me in the mountains. Let's just take that for instance, all right? So there's the thing with Jeff. I never found what I was looking for. That'll be another story for another day that'll tie into this. And I have photographs that I later found what I was looking for. But it was a very kind of interesting trip with someone. One of the things I looked for during that time period is I always liked that person who didn't have a preconceived notion or idea of going in the mountains of, oh, the Lost Dutchman Mine, it's this, it's that, or this. I liked hiking with Randy a lot of times because we had different thoughts and views of the mountains. So while we didn't always talk it through, we would talk on the way in and the way out at times, but a lot of times it was more when we got to somewhere, it was, what do you think? And we would have contrasting opinions and kind of listen to each other and kind of work things out. We would find, I don't say it's just flaws in our theories, but we would be able to kind of put things together. It worked really well. So I liked that when I could find people that had no idea what they were doing in the mountains and stuff, but got along fine. I always wanted to find those people that had that neutral sense of, like, when you look at something, they're looking at it, okay, because I'm always the skeptic, but you like that person that has that fresh approach. And I no longer really have that going in the mountains. I have so many different ways to analyze something. It's nice to have someone like that. So there you go, the story of Needle Canyon quite some time ago. I hope to see some of you. I'd love to see all of you, man. It'd be great to have 1,000 people out there. Don't expect it, but it'd be nice to see some people out there. Join us for the hike through. Like I said, we'll make several stops, talk about the area and some of that. And mainly the point of doing this over time is to increase the Don's awareness of getting people out into the mountains and telling the stories again, but also to celebrate the 90th anniversary of the first trek of the Dons of Arizona. So there you go. I hope everybody has a wonderful, excellent week. I hope everybody does well. I hope nobody goes up in the mountains if the weather's bad. We got some rain coming in, so don't get no hypothermia there. And always remember, the most important thing to remember before you ever go in the mountains is, I'm Wayne Tuttle. You're not. And this was Chasing Legends.